The homeowner is an average and normal junior high school student who returns to his hometown after a few years. However, there is something weird: he cannot remember his past. Soon after his arrival, renderings of a game called Monster Strike, an RPG game where you battle with other players using actual monsters. However, this game isn't as friendly as it may seem. Together with his new friend, Oh Boy, he aims to create a new Monster Strike team challenging players with sinister intentions. The story begins in Camino Jara, the hometown of a young man named Hamada. After moving away for a few years along with his family, he finally returns to his town. However, for a mysterious and unknown reason, Renton somehow doesn't have any memories of his past life in this town. As soon as he and his family arrive, he bumps into an older lady, shattering his fallen mental last. He continues with his day. During his journey, he witnesses how the old town areas have been renovated with huge and modern buildings. The next day, after being transferred to the school incoming Ahata Rennet, and his first day there, he happens to meet a young girl named Ole Miss This Hour. Upon meeting each other, both of them seem familiar to one another. However, neither of them remembers the detail, deeming the matter to be unimportant. After school, Rent goes to get his phone repaired, however, finds that Monster Strike, an RPG game unknown to him, is installed on it. Suddenly, an old man appears behind Rat, who takes out his phone and summons a giant wolf-like beast. The old bank then proceeds to attack Rat, who manages to barely dodge the attacks. Suddenly, a voice comes from his phone, telling him to summon a monster of its own. Oregon. Rent follows the voice instruction but gets disappointed after realizing the monster you summon is a small weakling, still dodging the wolf's barrage of attacks, reading questions or against power, prompting him to reveal that he is the prince of the monster world. He'll train in becoming top classified. Or furthermore, Oregon also teaches Rent how to launch a strike attacking technique. But it turns out that a special type of bring is required to correctly perform the technique. Suddenly a way appears out of nowhere and stuns the old man. She then proceeds to hand Ren the strike ring. Upon equipping the ring, Ren transformed into another person, revealing that his memories have been regained. As such, he then proceeds to defeat the wolf any single shot, claiming the monster Fender X for himself. As the battle ends, Ren transformation also does, leaving him in Oregon confused and with even more questions. On the other hand, away he takes off after promising to explain everything at school the next day. As he leaves, Rent thanks to delete the game altogether. This escaping this ordeal. However, Oregon advises him against that. Such Red is forced to take Oregon home with him, but makes him invisible beforehand to not shock his family. The next day at school, Wright and Oregon meet with a boy as they sit down. Or explains that Monster Strike is a popular game in his area. However, lately, more and more monsters have been appearing outside the designated fighting areas. She asks that even Oregon being present without an ongoing battle is also strange. Later that day, Pocket, another classmate who also plays Monster Strike, sees Ran with the strike ring to expel any confusion. Or we explain to him that she gave rendering, adding that it belonged to Ottawa, the ex-leader of the Monster Strike team that both oil and alcohol were part of. Furthermore, Oh Boy also invites Rent to watch a monster battle weather at night. That night, running away headway more, their away takes him to the hidden floor, which contains a huge arena, the Colosseum. Soon the battle begins and the crowd watches in amazement. Reed, also in the crowd, intently watched the fight as a boy explains the mechanism behind the game. As the battle grows more and more intense, the mesmerized Reed thanks. Unlike yesterday's incident, this is a safe way to enjoy this game, and he claims he wants to give it a go. However, he stops Tail, who states that this game should be played in teams of 4 or else one team gets a major disadvantage. She also tells him about how Ottawa and how her team slowly broke up after he left. She adds that because of the situation she decided to stop playing the game despite her love for it. However, her passion and love got reignited by none other than Ran after she witnessed him yesterday. Moved by the story, Ran decides to start a Monster Strike team with Always so that they can play together. As the fight concludes, they all decide to head back to using a shortcut within the wall. However, they suddenly get blocked by an invisible barrier, revealing that they have been trapped here by other Monster Strike players. Got in surprise random noise 10 shots as their foes some other ones. There's an attack. Helpless of the incoming attack, Run is about to get shot down but gets saved by Oh Boy, who knocks him out of the way. Being without protection, they decide to run to another end of the floor, taking refuge behind an escalator. As they finally get a woman to think, they start to explore the options they have and discuss what they should do to avoid getting killed. Or we decided to summon her monster foe Metal to combat her attackers. However, It is revealed that our way's not the least bit compatible with their monster, and consequently does minor damage. Oregon also prompts Ren to aid her in the fight, causing him to transform once again. As a result, he then defeats 2 of his opponents in a single attack. After so many Fender acts, enraged by the event, they were meaning to foes use a combination move, attacking both whenever X and Fox Metal DV have you damaged and almost killing both of them. On the verge of defeat, the situation seems to be grim for Oil and Brent. Nonetheless, they have no choice but to keep up the offense, or he launches an attack, but it again fails to do much damage. In response, the opponents also launch an attack on Red, who barely survives thanks to the intervention of an unknown beast. Only upon seeing the monster reveals that Occupy is here to help them as he emerges behind them. AKA then joins their battle while suddenly revealing that he might know something about Rattan and this transformation. Thanks to Occupy, they can easily win the battle. However, their attackers seemed to be a bit delirious and looked confused. After a short investigation, they learned that these people are in some sort of hypnosis and don't remember anything. After escaping this situation, Readaway and Oregon head over to a fast food place. There they discuss the events which unfolded and think of what to do in the future. During their conversation, Oregon also expresses how the state of their enemies today was similar to the old man which attack threatened as a result. Run again suggests just deleting the game altogether. However, it gets convinced by a lawyer and or volunteer not do so. I also decided to team up with Red, creating their new team. One day after some time passes away, find a red horde emerging from the water as she is swimming. She recognizes this to Oregon and catches them, meanwhile awareness off in the distance watching the view avoid before him. After Roy finishes, they both meet up outside. We're only revealed to read about the upcoming battle. She states that she wants to make Akio to join their team as we help them out in their encounter. As such, they all then get to trying out always to get Agata to join up with them. Consequently, they all execute many of their ideas but to no avail. Enraged by the rejection of Rare advances, Awaken friends aka directly asking him to team up with her again. However, Ocular claims that you will never join another team again. When intervenes in their conversation, asking if he was the reason Operator refused to join. Suddenly, Oculus did that it is because he cannot accept Red wearing Haduma strike rate. As a result, Red returns the strike green to lock it up before walking off. Furthermore, when Graham decided to give up on Nakamura and set their sights on another ex-teammate of always, Minami Walkabout as such ran away and Oregon go and meet with me. As they reach the Coliseum, they happen upon a battle she's currently taking part in. Their run witnesses Mean to Me crush all of her opponents with ease. However, during the fight, he notices that means he is acting rather strange and sees her eyes glowing red, similar to the hypnotized attackers they have faced. As such, they all decide to tell her. We also informs random Oregon that Meet Me in real life is a sweet, caring and gentle neural. However, during gameplay turns into a complete savage and a monster. They finally confront her in a coffee shop where Minami is causing a ruckus. Their Aware introduces Run to her. She then asked me to join their Monster Strike team, but she goes into a boasting about her strength and claiming she will rip them to shreds, meaning me then quickly leaves the next day, or he takes Rent to Me enemy's family-owned coffee shop, where they wish to converse with their father to investigate her recent behavior. Her father, despite being concerned for her, claims that they shouldn't worry, as Minami knows what she's up to. Suddenly, Tayo, a student from their school, comes running the shop. Tayo announces that Minami has been uploading some crazy videos recently. Suddenly, she uploads another one. However, this video at this time is revealed to be avoided. All it takes is phone to chat, but her face immediately turns red with embarrassment. Growing redder and redder by the second, her reactions get even red, curious as to what the video is showing. Tyler tries to retrieve his phone back from a boy, however, she attacks Dial. Then after she breaks his phone completely to hide her actions. Nonetheless, this marked as Red pulls up the video on his phone. As he starts the video, he finds that it was the footage of Red of watching Oil in her swimsuit from a distance. Even Ron gets embarrassed, his actions being exposed, and the group decides to make Meet immediately the video. Certainly for father comes to Minim's rescue, suggesting that it might not be Mean to Me who posted this video. Suddenly, as your father continues to defend his sweet daughter, Minami enters this door, loudly announcing that it was indeed her who posted those things. Furthermore, she adds that the only way to get her to eat them was to defeat or any Monster Strike battle. As such, only Rent, Oregon and Teo are faced with Me to Me. In addition, they also confirm that Anita B is being hypnotized by someone, As their battle begins, Minami summons our monsters, dead rabbits, and attacks. Soon after the battle begins, Ren realizes that he doesn't possess a striking ring anymore, as he returned home was ready to occupy. As such, Ren is unable to use his monsters to do for mobility. Nonetheless, they all summon their beasts, using teamwork and combination moves to deal damage to their foes. In response, Medium he also launches an attack, however, it heads towards the cafe's flowers. Ren uses his party in order to stop the attack, revealing these flowers were the ones Mimi's late mother planted, and Minami looked after. On the other hand, Minami seems to be indifferent and continues her attack. However, she is eventually stopped by O, entitled, as the fighter dude. O, Oregon entire restaurant was badly injured but to protecting the flowers. Moreover, Minami also snaps out of her hypnosis after losing. After realizing Reed protected the flowers using his body, meaning he apologizes and thanks him. Meanwhile, Teo catches a glimpse of 3 Credit Med watching them from afar. Later at night, these hooded people meet up and gather the tall buildings, presumably their hideout, where they inform their leader that Minami has turned back to normal. The next day everything is back to normal as Away seems weird and carefree while Reed stares at her. Suddenly meet him, he comes rushing in along with a piece of toast, which he stuffed in Ren's mouth as thanks for yesterday. Furthermore, upon seeing Always swimming, she decides to interest, however, much to Ren's disappointment, and turns out that she had his friend sued beneath. Minami jumps in the pool with her, leaving Ren's straw on the ground, where they regroup outside, where immediately agrees to join their monster strike team, however, claimed that they should find someone else except Agra as the final teammate, later in class. Oh, we also informs Arcata of Red's ex, leaving him touched by his gallant efforts. Sometime later, when Bren discuss reasons for the recent hypnosis, Breed getting suspicious of Oregon as these incidents began only after his appearance, such read a word meaning he decided to finally get answers out of Oregon's mouth and make him reveal the information he might be withholding from them. Thus, they cornered him in Vietnamese cafe. There, they try and bribe Oregon with popcorn, but he fails to reveal something worth noting. Later that day, after Rent and Oregon returned home, they get greeted by a giant lion-like dog that Friend's little sister has brought back home. Upon seeing the dog, Oregon and seemed to be terrified and wets himself. Straw on the ground. Seeing this, Round decides to use this dog to scare Oregon even more in order to make him finally give up the secrets he's hiding. But his efforts bear no fruit and appears to be of no avail. Eventually, Ren gives up and decides to call him today. As such, he decides to rest and lays on his bed. As they all eventually doze off, the dog witnesses something strange, sinister and shadowy figures emerge from within Oregon. The shadow then proceeds to head towards the hideout of the hooded figures, only to come back and repossess Oregon yet again. For now,